Though you'll likely find it easier and more convenient to schedule Zoom meetings through Outlook or Moodle, you can also do that through the Zoom web interface. This video is going to cover what each and every setting means. When you first log into Zoom, you should see the Meetings page, but if not, just click Meetings on the left-hand navigation and click Schedule a new meeting. On the next page, you have several options that would look pretty familiar if you've ever scheduled a calendar event in Outlook. You'll give it a topic, which is the name of your meeting, and an optional description, which would show up to the participants in the invitation. You'll also select when, which is the date and time of your meeting, and the duration. I want to stress the duration will not automatically end the meeting once it expires. You can go beyond this duration, but this is for the meeting invite so that participants know about how long to expect to be in there. If this is a recurring meeting, you can check the recurring meeting button. If this is going to be for a class, I recommend switching the recurrence from daily to weekly because it gives you more options about which days of the week you'd like to repeat. I prefer to use the end date option, but you can also say to end the repeat after a certain number of occurrences. The registration section is the next section. So what this would do is if you save the meeting with registration required, instead of a link to join the meeting, you would be given a link to share with your participants for them to actually register for the session. Once they're registered, Zoom will automatically send them the meeting information. That may be something you want to do. To extend this, I want to point out that if you are using the recurring meeting settings, you will have additional options that you'll need to select for how the registration should work. For security, I do recommend keeping the passcode, and you may want to use the waiting room. The waiting room is a virtual lobby where participants wait to be admitted into the meeting before you formally start it. You can likely leave the video default to off here. This is off for both you and the participants. This would give you a chance to set up your video screen before you actually turn it on. I like that because it gives users a bit more choice. For audio, I would leave this at both. This gives the users the option to either listen to audio through their computer or to call in if their broadband access is not very good. The last thing you would need to look at would be the meeting options. Enable Join Before Host would allow participants to join the meeting before you start it. Mute participants upon entry would be very useful if you have quite a few people in the meeting and you're worried that someone might forget to turn off their microphone, or maybe they don't know how. Only authenticated users can join would require someone to actually log into Zoom with an actual account before they can join the meeting. If you're creating this meeting through Outlook or through Moodle, you don't need to worry about the setting because the users are already authenticated. You can also set the meeting to be recorded automatically. This would be helpful if you are worried that you might forget. When you enable this, you do have the option to record on the local computer or in the cloud. I default to in the cloud, especially if I might be using a classroom computer at some point to use a Zoom meeting, because that way the recording is done virtually in the cloud rather than on the computer that I'm using, and it's uploaded as it's recorded. For Breakout Room Pre-Assign, this is an option where you can create and pre-assign members if you know who's going to be in the meeting. This might be useful if this is a class session and you already know who's going to be on your roster. As a little tip, you could manually create the rooms, or if you click Import from CSV, there is a template in Excel that you can download and update along the way. It really just requires a name for the breakout room and the participant's email address. Once you have that, you can save that document, upload it into here, and it will pre-assign the breakout rooms for the students. When you're done, click Save to save your meeting.